on to Tech Tuesday. Kevin Hunter with Harry Brelsford here on the broadcast. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Harry, you are down in Austin, Texas today, where the South by Southwest conference was canceled. Tell us what's transpiring down there, and some of the cause behind the cancellation of the event.
Yeah. So a couple of thoughts. So first of all, viewers will remember last year at this time, I broadcast live from Austin on this show, and that was the first time I had attended. So I, amongst other things, committed to being here for the full 10 days for South by Southwest. The pre-days would have been starting now, but it officially starts on the 13th and goes through the 22nd. But none of that's happening. So here's what's going on is 400,000 people over 10 days, not all on one day, Kevin, but over the course of the 10 days, it's 400,000 people are involved. And late last week, I believe it was Friday, late last week, the city of Austin stepped in and canceled this type of large public gathering based on concerns on the coronavirus and transmission and so on. So that in and of itself is pretty straightforward. But what's interesting is the way they did it. So it turns out in its 35th year, South by Southwest, it's a big company, the production company, they had liability insurance, Kevin, but it wasn't covering a pandemic. And this could bankrupt them. I mean, this could take them down. So I believe one of the strategies was to have the city of Austin force the cancellation so they can assert this legal right of force majeure or act of God or, things when a government does a shutdown, it's different than the event itself shutting down and having that exposure. And a couple of fallouts from it are on Monday, yesterday, South by Southwest laid off a third of its staff, its permanent staff. Again,
Oh, wow.
it's a sizable company and there's real impact. And we'll leave it to wiser medical minds to determine, the history is going to be written about all this and who knows what that will say about, the judgment of doing this or that. But, I got to thinking I gave an example to a friend over the weekend about, what about that family that bought a food truck and renovated the food truck and they were going to announce the food truck, launch the food truck in March 13th, right? They're going to go into business. Well, they're out some money. And then Kevin, and this hurts real people. So if you want to go to that other site, ilostmygig.com. I was watching the morning news and some enterprising creative types built this community site where you as a gig worker, a vendor, someone who had an economic or a transactional relationship with South by Southwest, you can go on this and put in your story. You can put in if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's all these listings, and these are real people, and they've, openly shared their identity and how to reach them. If you think you'd like to donate money, I see a Leo and a Cassie. And in the case of Leo, we're looking at a $7,000 income loss. He's a freelance video director and producer, I guess. And as you go further and further down, there's some real numbers here of people who lost real money and depended on it. And some people take a moment to tell their story, which I like to understand the context better. But then, Kevin, it got me to thinking that this is one of the first ways I've seen they're trying to quantify the economic losses, right? At a high level on the news down here, they're saying, this is a $400 million hit to the Austin economy. Right, Kevin, people fly in, they rent cars, they stay at hotels. So at a high level, they're predicting $300 to $400 million in losses in the community. But this is a different slice of it, right? This is a different slice of that conversation, not so much a tourism view, but Kevin, we're both small business people at the end of the day. I mean, I can relate to this.
Yeah, you think about
So that's
this actually helps illustrate how many moving parts there actually are in things like this. And when somebody talks about, even South by Southwest, and if somebody wants to look at the organization and say, well, look at, this huge corporate conglomerate they are and how they can sustain something like this. And then you see all the little people that were benefiting from the fact that this event was even going on. And you look at the losses that are in there. So it's actually kind of a good lesson in, for lack of a better description, the so-called trickle-down economics. It's what happens whenever somebody is moving money or creating any kind of action anywhere. There are always the tentacles reach out to many different places, and all the way down to levels like these where, for some people the losses may be, a few $100, $1,000. Others, it's in the thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars that they lost as a result of it being canceled. So, yeah, it's those stories are very real, and and a negative economic impact will end up hitting a lot of people and in ways you didn't think. This illustrates that perfectly.
Yeah, it does. And I'm probably going to write a blog in addition to our Tech Tuesday segment here, because this was a really good visualization of the points you raised, the economics, the moving parts. You're talking about, Kevin, the multiplier effect, right? So I'm looking at Breezy Ritter. On my screen, I have Breezy Ritter, event photographer, income loss $3,500. Breezy, she goes on to say, boy, this sucks, but we can rally together. And but that $3,500, well, Kevin, that means that she did not go out to the dance hall on Saturday night, pay the $10 cover, and buy a couple of cold Texas beers. That's what that means, right? That's play out. And it just causes pause, like in the take that thinking nationally. And it's like, maybe this could impact the 12-year economic expansion that the economy is enjoyed. I mean, this could generate a recession of a different flavor. You know what I mean? Not a financial crisis, but an emotional recession. But Kevin, maybe I'll end on that part. We're humans. It's about emotion. If I make an emotional decision to go to the Texas dance hall on a Saturday night, and guess what? I'm not going next Saturday night. So
we're seeing, because I attend a lot of events myself, and to be honest, I've paid attention to the news and the information on this situation on both sides of it. I'm being careful like you ought to be, but at the same time, I'm not out there panicking either. And people really need to do their own homework on this issue and look at what the entirety of the whole thing is. And there are some people that they're crawling underneath a rock and hiding, but yet you look at, just to share a little off-topic information, when you look at what I just saw statistics on Saturday of what the common flu, the number of people that died from the common flu from 2017 to 2018, the number was in the tens of thousands of people. And there's no discussion about that in the news at all. And the reason being is that we've become used to the fact that if people get sick, some people can lose their life getting sick. And a majority of people actually don't from the flu. And those numbers are holding true with this so-called pandemic, as some people are referring to it, or the coronavirus. All healthy adults, 99% of the people will survive with no negative long-term consequences at all. So my suggestion to people would be, keep your hands clean, take care of your personal hygiene, make sure you're eating a good diet. Your immune system is going to be very strong, and that is your best defense mechanism. So appreciate the conversation, and I do understand how this could be so impactful in the tech world, and as we see, it reaches out to a lot of different directions, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Well, I'll keep you posted.
All right,
from
thanks,
down
Harry, and
here.
thanks everyone who joined us here on the broadcast. Kevin Hunter with Harry Brelsford on Tech Tuesday. Till next time, take care.